Hello and welcome to the Vessel and Voice podcast. I'm your host, Kim Charleston. And in today's episode, we're going to be getting an energy update for the month of May. So let's get into it. Last month's energy update, if you remember, was about the tension and the either natural contraction of our energy or natural expansion. And as we went through that, just remembering about events over the last month and where your energy was at, it probably started to make you reevaluate some stuff. So, in today's channeled message from Monty, they'll be giving us an energy update for what's coming in May. So, let's hear from them on what we have to work with and what we might be able to do with our energy to make it a little bit easier. The energy of May is an energy of deciding what kind of stability, what kind of future that you are creating for yourself through the foundations that you are laying right now. Over the previous month, we spoke about how you would experience tension and how you needed to go either within to become redevoted to your own internal perspective, or to allow yourself to begin to expand out into that energy and to begin to create changes by showing up in that way. Regardless of whether that tension triggered that contraction or expansion, over the previous month, that tension showed you the different ways that you still have things within yourself where that tension has brought to the surface beliefs about who you need to be to adapt to the external reality. At times, that tension has shown you the ways in which that you have allowed the external energies outside of you determine who you are being, who you are allowing yourself to be. This month is coming into a new, renewed awareness of the patterns that you have repeated and looking very attentively at the foundations that you have within your energy about what that means of who you get to be. Over the previous month, that tension asked you to devote yourself one way or another, either by returning and coming into a deeper awareness or expanding out, but allowing yourself to step into that energy. And then that energy found even more challenge as you notice and reflect now over what happened, the events that you faced, and how your energy responded to that tension, to those challenges as they became aware in your energy. And with that came a renewed focus on, yes, I notice I am repeating things, but in a new way that I have done before. This is that energetic spiral that we often speak of the same energy in a new format coming through and asking you, what will you do with me now? How will you collaborate with this energy? This energy is not to be avoided. It is not to say this energy is one that we do not want to have, and so we will go a different direction, but rather say, okay, this problem that has come up, I notice within myself the ways that I am taking that energy and letting it say, this is who you get to be right now. This is all that you are allowed. And when we view it from that perspective, we realize that that energy does not have that capability to determine who we get to be. Now, there may be external circumstances that you say, well, I can't be this version of myself because the resources are not there. We get that. We understand. But a state of being is not dictated by resources that are available to you. That is an expression of that state of being in a specific form, of saying, well, I don't have enough energy for me to express myself, we understand that is a true reality. We are not denying that existence, that when lack of resources is an issue, the expression of that state of being may not get to come through in that form that you have envisioned. But that does not hold any power over the state of being that you are. Being is not resourced externally, it is resourced internally. So you are being asked right now, what are the foundations of your energy that is saying the resources must be external? The resources that I need must come in these forms so I can be in this form. Being is not resourced outside of yourself. That foundational belief of who you get to be in this world is what is being recalibrated right now, being brought to the surface. So your job this month in this energy is to inspect this foundation, to say, what are the ways this belief is holding me back? What are the ways this belief is untrue? What are the ways that this belief has led me to resource myself externally rather than allowing my own energy to be the way that I am? For example, in your life, you say, I would like to be able to express myself by living in this location, by experiencing these things, by having these friendships, this way of living and expressing myself externally. And yet, no matter what you do, those resources, that way of living is inaccessible to you. And so you say, I don't get to be that. That is not available to me in this life. And so I step away from that idea of who I am. But when we set aside those external resources, that external expression of who you get to be, and rather say, why do I believe that I am restricted into a state of being by those external resources, it begins to bring forward all of the lies that you have told yourself, all of those untruths that are about external resourcing, that are about allowing the world externally to dictate who you get to be. Now, we are not again saying that it can't impact how you express your energy. Expression and state of being are not the same. So, in looking at the things that you want, that expression of that state of being, and saying, what is the energy truly behind those things? What is it that I am wishing to express? What is it that I believe that these things will allow me to be? And then looking at the truth within that state of being and acknowledging that that is accessible to you right now, in this moment. It is not easy for many people. We will not deny that. But it is instead saying, I will allow myself to explore that foundational belief of who I get to be and why I get to be that. Because the truth of it is, that state of being that you get to be is self-sourced. It is in your own energy. It is the ability for you to tune into that energy, to allow that to be the expression, regardless of what form it gets to take, dictated by those external realities that you find yourself in. Of saying, I know the truth of who I am. I know the foundation of that energy that I want to be is within myself. I understand the ways that I have allowed these external realities to say, this is all you get to be. And I am acknowledging the ways that those things have lied to me and how, as a result, I have lied to myself. Now, this will create a fair amount of turmoil within your energy because at any point that we feel, oh, yes, I am lying to myself, it makes us question our ability to tell ourselves the truth, to be able to discern what is true and what is not, because we believed for such a long time something that was untrue was true. So, how can we trust our own discernment? How can we know? And that is truly the foundation that is being shook up right now. That self trust in your own ability to know the solution is to get quiet, to tune in to that energy of what you want to be, and to allow that to be your source of truth. To allow that energy to be the reality that you know is true. To allow that energy to be the foundation of who you are and what you believe. And this is no small calling and will require a certain amount of effort of saying, this external reality that is telling me who I get to be, I know this is untrue. And I am going to rely on the truth within myself that I know. That I am going to rely on this thing that feels within myself true, but also untrustworthy. That I am going to allow myself to develop the trust in this energy. That is truly the calling of this month, is to allow yourself to begin to trust that inner energy even more. So as you are going through this month, we would offer this one exercise for you to do. What is it that I know in my very core to be true right now in this moment? What do I know when I tune in to my inner essence to be the reality of what is happening, of my own perspective, of my own energy? That by doing this exercise, it will help you to develop trust in your own discernment once again, to understand that it is an evolving process of getting into the ability to understand your own energy, that it is something learned over time, that by allowing yourself to come into that moment of discernment, that is how you build that trust. We are delighted that you have this opportunity because developing discernment for yourself is the path forward for humanity. Developing that discernment of knowing what is true and what is not for you individually is one of the most important skills as humanity's evolution continues. As always, you can call upon your spirit team to help you, to aid in this effort, to show you signs, to share their perspective on what is true, to help you to use your discernment. We send you great love in this endeavor. That is all. Every time that Monty says, we're delighted for you to have this opportunity, I know that it's going to be a difficult time. Acknowledge that right now, if you're feeling like, oh, I don't really want to do this, I'm right there with you. It can be as hard or as easy as we want it to be, though. That is one of the things that Monty always reassures me of, that I don't always remember, but try to, is that when we feel as though we have to go reevaluate and we feel like we have what they see as an opportunity for us to come into that energy, it is up to us how we want to view that. It is up to us whether we make that really hard for ourselves. Yes, there could be hard things externally that are causing that to happen, certainly. But it has a lot to do with our internal perspective on how we want to interact with it and view it and make it say something about ourselves. So as we go forward with this month, what I would love to remind myself and maybe you too of is, okay, we get to choose the perspective that we have of this. It could be something that's really hard, but if we see it from that perspective of it's an opportunity, it gets to be an opportunity. It's something that we can be hopeful and positive about as best that we can. We can also choose the opposite and make it really difficult and so much harder with so much more resistance for ourselves. And I remind myself of that. And hopefully, when this episode comes out, I remember it and I look back to it just like maybe you need to this month. So, thank you so much for listening. We're really excited. We have 2 weeks until the Conscious Vessel program starts. So, if you have not enrolled, please consider this your final little nudge if you've been on the fence about it. And as well, if you would like to join us the day after this episode publishes, we're having a free event to meet your spirit guides. We hope to see you there if you'd like to experience your spirit guides' energy. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the support that you offer for our work and for your own energy. And we'll see you in the next one.